but when the truth finally came out, she wasn't ready for what I did next. So I'm 35 living in Denver, and I just finalized mid-divorce from my wife, Emma. We were together for 6 years married. Looking back, I feel like I should have seen this train wreck coming. Honestly, the warning signs were there from the start, but I kept ignoring them because, well, I loved her, or at least I thought it had. The cracks in our relationship had a name: Stacy. Emma's best friend. Have you ever met someone and immediately known their bad news? That was Stacy. She was loud, self-centered, and always had to be the center of attention from the first time I met her. I felt like she was sizing me up, like she was looking for something to hold against me. But Emma was blind to it. She saw Stacy as her ride or die from college, someone who'd been there through thick and thin and hot. Fine, I'll tolerate her because it's important to Emma. But man, Stacy knew how to push buttons. Things really started going downhill during our wedding planning. I proposed to Emma after 3 years of dating. We were living together by then, and it just felt like the next step. She was ecstatic, and honestly, so was I at first. And Stacy started sticking her nose, and it started small. She didn't like our color scheme, man. Said it was too basic. I let that slide because who cares what colors were epic then. She made a fuss about the catering, saying we needed vegan options because half the guests would probably prefer that there were maybe 2 vegans total. And then she ended up demanding as she walked down the aisle in a special moment ahead of the bridesmaids. You read that right? Stacy wanted her own walk down the aisle. Her reasoning: I've been there through every one of Emma's breakups. Every hard moment in her life this day is about celebrating the people who stood by her, not just the marriage. I thought it was a joke at first, like who seriously asked for that? But Emma just kind of nodded along. I could see her caving in real time. I tried to step and I told Emma, look, this is our wedding, not a stage for Stacy to perform on your sister's sorority or maid of honor. And that seno. Emma got defensive, saying I was making a big deal out of nothing. Stacy, meanwhile, acted like I'd personally insulted her entire existence. Wow. She said, I didn't realize your fiancé was so controlling. That stung, but instead of standing up for me, Emma folded. It's just one little thing. She told me later if it makes her happy, what's the harm? So Stacy got her grand entrance. She strutted down the aisle like it was her wedding. I could feel my parents' side eye from the front row, but I just gritted my teeth and smiled for the photos. I figured once we're married, this kind of nonsense will stop. Stacy won't have asmic say in our lives. Big mistake. Huge. After the wedding, Stacy didn't just fade into the background like I'd hoped. If anything, she became even more involved in our lives. Emma and I would be talking about weekend plans, and Stacy's name would pop up like clockwork. Oh, I already told Stacy she could join us. Emma would say, or Stacy thinks Weshold, check out this restaurant. Instead, it was like we couldn't make a single decision without her input. I tried to bring it up to Emma gently at first. It told her, I like that you have a close friend, but I feel like Stacy's a little too involved in our lives. Can we set some boundaries? Emma got defensive again. She's my best friend. She said, I can't just shut her out. You don't understand how much she's done for Memabe. I didn't understand. I wasn't there for the college years or the breakups or whatever. But what I did understand was that Stacy didn't respect me or our marriage, and Emma was too wrapped up into her friendship to see it. I wanted to believe that Stacy wasn't intentionally trying to undermine me. Maybe she was just one of those people who didn't know how to take a step back, but deep down, I think I knew better. Stacy didn't like met plain and simple, and the more she inserted herself into our lives, the more obvious it became. I don't know why I didn't put my foot down earlier. Maybe it thought it wasn't worth the fight, or maybe I didn't want to risk pushing him away. But that was my mistake. By staying quiet, I let Stacy feel like she had the right to interfere in our marriage, and by the time I realized how deep her claws were, it was too late. About a year into our marriage, Emma and I had finally settled into a routine work date, nights binging TV shows on weekends. Things weren't perfect, but they were good, peaceful. Even that was until Stacy showed up at our doorstep sobbing like her entire world had fallen apart. It was a Friday evening. Emma and I were planning to make tacos and maybe watch Amo Vi. I was halfway through chopping onions when the doorbell rang. Emma went to get it, and within seconds I heard Stacy's wailing. I poked my head around the corner, and there she was, clinging to Emma like a shipwreck survivor. She had a duffel bag slung over her shoulder and mascara running down her face. He left me. Stacy cried, I can't do this alone. Emma led her inside, shooting me a look that said, we'll talk later. I stood there, knife in hand, feeling like I just walked into the middle of a nightmare. Stacy plopped onto our couch, rambling about how her boyfriend of 2 years had dumped her out of nowhere. Emma sat next to her, holding her hand, nodding along sympathetically. I stayed in the kitchen trying to focus on the tacos, but as Stacy's dramatic retelling went on, I couldn't help overhearing apparently her boyfriend Jake had completely blindsided her, breaking up with her over text because he felt they weren't compatible. Stacy, of course, insisted that she'd been a perfect girlfriend and that Jake was just an emotionally unavailable jerk. "Do you have anywhere to stay tonight?" Emma asked her gently. Stacy sniffled, her eyes darting toward me in the kitchen before answering, "No, I can't go home to my parents. They'll just say, 'I told you so,' and all my other friends are busy." I didn't know where else to go. I could see where this was headed, and I wasn't happy about it. Sure enough, Emma turned and would it be okay if Stacy stayed here for a few days, just until she gets back on her feet. What was I supposed to say? No, your best friend can't stay here, even though she's clearly Amos. So I nodded, forcing a smile. Yeah, of course. At first, I tried to be patient. Stacy was heartbroken. I get it. Breakup sucked. The first couple of days, I stayed out of her way, letting Emma handle her, but by the end of the week, it became clear that a few days was turning into who knows how long. Stacy wasn't just staying with us, she was taking over the guest room, which Emma and I had carefully kept neat and organized. Became a disaster zone. Clothes were everywhere, in the floor, on the bed, draped over the chair, empty coffee cups and takeout containers piled up on a nightstand. It was like a teenager's room after a bad breakup. Except Stacy was 34. She practically lived in the living room, binge watching reality shows at full volume and hogging the couch. Twice I came home from work to find her sprawled out in her pajamas, eating snacks out of a family-sized chip bag while watching some dating show. She didn't even glance up when I walked in, just muttered, "Hey," between bites. The kitchen wasn't safe either. Stacy wasn't much of a cook, but that didn't stop her from using our pots and pans like she was auditioning for a cooking show. The problem was she never cleaned up after herself. I'd wake up in the morning to find the sink overflowing with dirty dishes and random half-eaten meals left on the counter. I tried talking to Emma about it one night. "You know, Stacy's going through a lot," I said, "but she's treating this place like a hotel.